in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get set for race number 24 of the season, the 6th season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. We are getting set here tonight to cap off what's been quite an interesting race weekend here from Hillside Raceway. Tonight there'll be 20 laps added onto the scheduled distance for what we had in our Trucks and Pizza Deck Series races here this weekend, so we'll have to see if that throws any kind of a monkey wrench into the type of racing we'll see here tonight. Maybe a green flag pit stop, but I don't think so. We're going to have to wait and see. Now, coming into this race, we have 17 former race winners inside the top 30 in points, which means that right now, 16 drivers in the top 30 in points have playoff positions. One driver does not. That driver, a former points leader from this season, was actually leading the points for a good portion of the first half of the regular season, and our pole sitter here tonight, D Poteet. He has dropped to 25th in the point standings, and right now, he would be outside of the playoffs with where he's currently positioned and the number of former winners that are ahead of him in the point standings. So good starting track position here tonight for the 31 car, but like I've said all week long here at Hillside, this is a track that starting track position doesn't always mean you're going to get a good finishing position. This is a mile in length, but it takes on the fundamentals and the characteristics of a super speedway. We're going to see these drivers three wide, several rows deep. The lead's going to be very difficult to hold on to, so even though he's starting up towards the front, doesn't necessarily mean that D Poteet will be up at the front in the closing stages of this race. Alongside of him, Emmanuel Hartnett there in the 83. Hartnett comes into this race 27th in points, did not have a good run last week at Pikes Peak, and certainly looking for a good run here tonight, looking for his first win of the season as well. Joshua Collard, the points leader, continues his consistent season and has a good spot tonight in third place. Alongside of him, the driver that finished runner-up in last week's race at Pikes Peak, Kat Batson, still looking for her first win since Season 3. Our winner last week was Jessica Shelton, who came into that race 40th in the point standings, and while Shelton's win does not really help her to get towards the top 30 in points to get a playoff position, it is helping her gradually climb in the standings out of that danger zone area where the bottom 5 in points at the end of the season will lose their charters for next year of the Hersheys Cup Series. She gained a spot in the points to 39th, and she's actually right now about 21 points back from the key 37th position in points, which is the final spot for a driver to keep their charter for next season. Let's go down trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
Point standings aren't exactly close, but they're closer than they have been the last couple of weeks. Joshua Collard's points lead has now been cut down to 25 points. Second place, Jordan Anderson is the runner-up driver right now, as we got trouble for Emmanuel Hartnett on the start, and maybe possible trouble for the 24 of Benny Watson. No, it was in relation to the 83. So Hartnett, boy, a tough break there for Hartnett, as he's not going to be able to take the green flag, at least here on the start. And everybody's got to catch back up here before we go green. But Anderson, 25 points back in second, Fitzwater in third, Tim Walsh fourth, Charles Sanford's fifth, and the rest of the top 10 in points coming into this race overall. Brooke Allen sixth, Trent Dunham seventh, Daniel Voyles, Alex Drayton, and K Shearer. That's your top 10. The points presented by Golden Corral. Got a new outside of the front row driver in Kat Batson as the green flag's in the air here at Hillside. Let's roll. And Hartnett still sits on pit road. Got a great car in qualifying, qualified outside of the front row, and he's not going to get the finish that probably that car deserves now. Poteet wanted to lead the first lap. That bonus point would have been huge for him, but Collard says no, sir. He's going to take the top spot. He's going to lead the first lap. Now J Baskinger to the bottom in the 38. Baskinger, the only driver out of Flying Aces Racing so far that hasn't won. His teammate Benny Watson right behind him. Went victory lane for the second time this season, 2 weeks ago at Daytona, and now he's going to go to the inside for the spot. Hillside made his debut on the schedule back in Season 4. The inaugural winner of the race was Sean Gallighan. The defending winner of this race is not in the field here tonight. It was Caleb Farrell in his rookie season taking the checkers last year. Caleb Farrell, actually, there was some announcement made that he'll be driving a truck next year for Michael Norman Motorsports. A truck that, I believe it's the 3. It's either the 3 or the 33. If it's the 33, it's the same truck that Easton Barber put in victory lane here 2 nights ago. It's Daniel Gilbert to the lead. Now here comes Jessica Shelton, and the car that's behind her, a lot of people speculating about that 2 car of Dylan Young. 2-time winner this season, comes into this race 34th in points. Did not have a great run. I think he finished 25th last week at Pikes Peak. Didn't gain, didn't lose in the point standings. He's still 34th in points. The gap now between him and 30th in the standings is 10 points. So keep tabs on him. One driver that did make strides in the outside the top 30 in the points that has a win is L Alvarise, our winner from Charlotte. Alvarise went from 35th to 32nd in the points. He's now only 1 point out of the top 30. But like we mentioned, Dylan Poteet's 25th in the points with a win, and right now he's outside of the playoff grid. Look at what's left on the schedule here for Hersheys Cup Series as Shelton and R.J. Reynolds will go side by side for the lead. Reynolds gets it by a nose at the line. You got tonight's race at Hillside, which we kind of consider a mile super speedway type track, so kind of a wild card race. Next week we go to a dirt track at DuQuoin. That's kind of a wild card track, and then we finish out the season at M&M Super Speedway, which is a super speedway, and super speedways are always a kind of a wild card track. So 3 wild card tracks all in a row here for the remainder of the regular season. So it's definitely going to be a wild one here for the upcoming 3 weeks. Gonzales now to the race lead. Here comes Kyle Mathews trying to complete the sweep here, trying to get Retro Racing Enterprises its 3rd win in 4 weeks. Sanford won 3 weeks ago at Thornton, got it started. Shelton won last week at Pikes Peak, and now Mathews, the lone driver out of that team, go to victory lane. The only driver of that team that's a former champion of the Hersheys Cup Series, won the championship back in Season 3. And Johnny Gardner took a turn out in front. Not going to lead this lap, it doesn't look like, though. McIntyre is going to lead it on that inside line, and now here come a whole host of Fords. Srigley in the 21 and Cody Smart in the 12. There's a pace car. I got to get myself back here to the front. We got some stragglers here. Joshua Sakuli, Shane Lake, and Cole Baker all back towards the rear of the field. And Trent Dunham. Wow. Happened to the 1. He's all the way back in 41st at the last car on the lead lap, last car on the track, as you saw there at the bottom of the list. 83 of Emmanuel Hartnett not even going to get to take the green, out of the race in 42nd, a valve issue. That Toyota driver. Daniel Voyles had a turn out in front. Fitzwater now going to go to the lead. Behind him is Kat Batson, then Anthony McCrury, and then McCrury's teammate, the inaugural winner of this race, Sean Gallighan in the 44. There's actually 4 names that really stand out that are up there in the point standings, and if they win here tonight, their first race of the season, they could be in the hunt for the playoffs. Gallighan is one of those drivers. He comes into this race currently 12th in the point standings. Other ones would be Jordan Anderson, who's 2nd in the point standings, JT Bryant 17th, and Elijah Gilbert in 19th. All those drivers with a win here tonight could put themselves right in the conversation for a spot in the playoffs. There you see the 22 of Bryant up now in the 3rd position, behind J Arndt, who now will challenge Gallighan for the race lead. Saw that Trent Dunham has lost this lead draft. His other 2 teammates running very well right now, though. Daytona 500 winner Dallas McIntosh in 3rd, and Blaine Keys right now unofficially in 4th. mention that D Poteet right now is on the outside of the playoffs looking in. The driver that took the 16th seed away from him after last week at Pikes Peak is actually up here almost in the top 10 as they're catching Trent Dunham in the 1 here. And we're looking at right now, Benjamin Miles in the 25 gained, I believe it was 6 spots, 4 spots, 5 spots, something like that. 5 spots in the standings last week, moved up to 20th in points. And right now would be the 16th driver in the playoffs if the playoffs were to begin right now. Trent Dunham going to go a lap down there in the 1. So not what Trent was looking for here tonight. I think he's going to hope maybe for a big wreck to take some drivers out. It's Fitzwater now side by side with Collard. That's first and third in points battling there. Collard, the points leader. Fitzwater in third place. And now Miles going to move into second, bringing K Shearer with him. Tim Walsh there. Shearer and Walsh at this point are pretty much locked into the playoffs. Shearer is 10th in points, Walsh is 4th, both have a win. At least 2 entries that we know out of CJ Racing that'll be battling for the championship. Is now they may go 3 wide for the lead, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Walsh, Shearer, Miles, 3 wide for the top spot. And here come their teammates, actually. The other 2 CJ Racing cars, L Alvarise and Chris Dodd, looks like they've put their differences aside from Rockingham. And Alvarez has still got a shot, depending on what he does here. DuQuoin, M&M still making it in the top 30 and still get a playoff position. Chris Dodd still looking for his first win since Texas last year when he was a 2-time winner, also winning the Daytona 500 back in Season 5. Is now Jordan Anderson to the front. Anderson been the most consistent driver not to go to victory lane so far this year. He's second in the point standings, and now here comes the CJ Racing cars of Alvarez and Chris Dodd. Alvarez with a second win. If he gets a second win and makes it into the top 30 in points, he'd leapfrog all those other drivers with 1 win and be tied, I think it'd be for the number 2 seed with Benny Watson and Alex Drayton. Right now, Brooke Allen has the number 1 seed with her 3 wins. McIntosh, Daytona 500 winner, looking for his second win of the season. Charles Sanford, who went to victory lane a few weeks ago at Thornton, also looking for win number 2 on here. James Richardson there in the 11. He's really stepped up his finishes the last couple of weeks. I think he finished 3rd last week at Pikes Peak. He's now up to 28th in the point standings. And that's a driver that about 3 weeks ago was down in the bottom 5 of the point standings in danger of losing his charter. We have a car on pit road. I think that was the 0-2 last week's winner, Jessica Shelton. Now, is this a regularly scheduled stop? It looks like it. Are we going to have green flag pit stops here at Hillside? See anybody jump into pit road here. Jump to the back and see if anybody came to pit road. Nope. Is this the start of green flag pit stops? Now, like I said, it's 20 laps more in this race than it was in the Pizza Hut X Series and Truck Series race. So there may end up having to be green flag pit stops in this one, depending on what the fuel window is. We didn't see any pit stops in the 2 previous races this weekend. We saw caution flags, and we haven't seen any of those here today so far either. It's now Richardson to the inside of Sanford. Here comes another of those drivers that if he wins, he could get into the playoffs. J Gilbert in the 98. Now going to try and make it 3 wide for the race lead. Also trying to become the 3rd rookie to go to victory lane this season, joining the likes of Benny Watson, Joshua Collard, and R Reynolds. Well, who's going to win this battle to the line? It's going to be Gilbert, barely. 3-wide battle there between himself, Richardson, and Sanford. They're now catching the car of Cole Baker, who also lost the tail end of the field. Oh, and Baker comes right down in front of his teammate in the 98. Now gives him a lane down low. Tried to keep himself on the lead lap. That was a close call there. He nearly wrecked him. Srigley now to the inside in the 21. Now, Srigley was not one of the 4 drivers I mentioned that doesn't have a win that could get themselves into a playoff spot with a win. That's because he comes into this race 24th in points, but there still is a shot for him, Kyle Keith, Kyle Mathews, Shane Lake. just need to follow it up with really good finishes in the upcoming 2 races. Gilbert back there, it looks like B Allan wants to take him 4 wide, and I would not suggest that here. As Srigley out in front, Tim Walch in second, those 2 single file right now. Alex Drayton now slots into 3rd. Now there's Shelton in the 0-2. She's already been to pit road. I don't know if these drivers are going to have to pit before this race is over or not. We're only to the halfway point, only completed 30 laps, so there's still a ways to go, and if we don't end up having a caution, can these drivers make it the full 60-lap distance on fuel? I'm trying to remember back last year if we ran 40 or 60 laps for the Hersheys Cup Series race. If we ran 40, I know they can make it. If we ran 60, I don't remember if we had pit stops or not. Tim Walch looking for his first multi-win season of his career. Of course, cutting that large winless streak of 120-some-odd races back at Sonoma. Alex Drayton, been quite a year for him. He's already gotten 2 victories. Now looking for his 3rd. Another driver I'm seeing driving his way towards the front is the 29 of Kyle Keith, one of those drivers that I said if he gets a win, we might start talking about him in one of those playoff positions. And also, 2 of Dylan Young. Now, Dylan Young has had a fluctuating year, especially in the last couple of weeks. He has a good race, gets into the top 30 in points, has a bad race, drops out of the top 30 in points. Now, he had a horrible race 2 weeks ago at Daytona. I thought he was going to have a good race last week at Pikes Peak. That wasn't the case. He finished in the top 25, but not very well. So he basically had back-to-back poor performances. So maybe tonight is going to be the upside again for that 2 car. Tim Walch doing a good job holding on to the lead right now. And as soon as I say that, Srigley gets to the inside of him. I was going to say Walch was doing what I didn't think was really possible, holding on to that top spot. And as soon as I say that, we got a new race leader in Joseph Srigley. Closing in on last week's winner, Jessica Shelton, who has been to pit road. So if these drivers can't make it on fuel, she could end up being the only driver that will stay out during the cycle of pit stops. Almost wrecked there with Joseph Srigley, the leader, but now Srigley is able to get to the inside. It's going to hold up the outside line with Alex Drayton, maybe even that middle line with Tim Walsh and Daniel Voyles, as Jordan Anderson now goes to the front. We mentioned the fact that Caleb Farrell's the defending winner of this race. He was a rookie last season. He was one of, I think, 3 rookies that won. He, Alex Drayton, and I don't, right off the top of my head, remember who the other driver was that was a rookie that won. Might have been K Shearer, actually, now that I think of it. Just saw the rookie stripes in the back of that 89. Oh, look out! Whoa! Oh, I think we're going to wreck. I think we have a wreck. There were cars in the grass. Oh, wow, there's a big wreck. Big wreck in the middle of the pack. Oh, my goodness. We got a car up and over. That's Shelton. And there's a lot of drivers in this one. Oh, my goodness. They're still piling up. Leaders better be careful coming here to the caution. Baskinger's the leader coming to the yellow. McIntyre, McCrury, Sanford, K Shearer, B Allan. Is that Poteet? It is. Oh my goodness. His championship hopes looking bleaker and bleaker. Baker's on pit road. Chris Dodd. There is Shelton. Cody Smart's got damage. Blaine Keys was involved. Miles, Reynolds, Watson. And everybody's coming to pit road. This was the caution they were all hoping and praying for. So this tells me they couldn't make it on fuel. And they are now probably going to be able to make it on fuel with this caution coming out. So we probably would have seen green flag pit stops in the closing stages of this race. And now that possibility is basically gone out the window. But that was a big wreck right there. My goodness. And a number of former winners in it, too. Whoa, contact there between Alex Drayton and Joshua Collars. Looks like Drayton won the battle off pit road still over Baskinger, Keith, Anderson, and Srigley. Trent Dunham is a lap down. I don't know if he'll come to pit road this time or try and stay out ahead of the leaders. But it looks like Drayton will be the race leader when we go back green. And Trent's going to come to pit road. Well, I mentioned for Trent, he probably was hoping a lot of drivers would wreck ahead of him, and I think he may have gotten his wish. Caution's out for the first time here tonight, 2/3 the way through this race. Let's see what happened. We're going all the way back here to the exit out of turn number 2, because that's basically how it all starts. There you see the contact between Chris Dodd and Brooke Allan. Allan tries to hang on to it, but then I think there might have been more contact again between her and the 88, and finally that sends her up into the left rear corner panel of Daniel Voyles. Now, Brooke Allan goes up and slaps the outside wall. It's these cars down here on the inside that are going to cause the wreck. Voyles in the 26, Chris Dodd in the 88. Dodd right there is going to sweep up R.J. Reynolds. Reynolds up into Shelton, and then it's just on from there. Track's going to get blocked up. Brooke Allan gets collected up in it. There you see D Poteet gets involved. Baker's into the back of Poteet. McIntire's going to get involved here as I think Baker comes down the track. Actually, it was Kat Batson that flips Shelton over. It was actually, I think, a triggering of both McIntyre and Charles Sanford. I think Sanford got down on the apron, and I think the car snapped around on him and up into traffic. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, see right there. Down on the apron. And right here, you're going to see when the car transitions from the apron to the racetrack again, it's just going to snap around. That in addition with the 31 and the 99 coming down to traffic. You're going to see top side of your screen. Right here, Baker and McIntyre come down. Sanford comes up, and it just blocks the whole track up. Baker actually comes right down to Sanford, who's already spun around. Sanford's going to go up and over, so 2 of the Retro Racing Enterprises cars flipped. Richardson gets a piece of it there. Johnny Gardner does a nice job avoiding. Kyle Mathews, I think, may have gotten a little bit of this as he's in the back of, or into the front of McCrury, I should say. Oh, and then he's going to get hit from behind by Benny Watson, who then I think in turn gets hit from behind by K Shearer. Brooke Allan runs into the back of D Poteet right there, so she gets even more damage. And I thought K Shearer had more front-end damage on his machine, though. I don't know where that necessarily came from. Is it right here? Oh, McCrury ends up going up in the air, too. And does that car go on its roof? It's up on 2 wheels and then comes back down. Oh, and right there on the left side of your screen, K Shearer in the back of Brooke Allan. That's where he had the buckle on his hood. So we had 3 cars, well, 2 cars flipped, Shelton and Sanford, and then 1 car up and on its side was McCrury. That's a pretty volatile wreck here at Hillside, and it's going to take out a number of drivers, or at least have a number of drivers as damaged goods as we go back now for the restart. And GG me, I missed the restart. We're back green. I don't know when we went back. We're on lap 47 now, but A Drayton restarted as the leader. He has just hit pit road, so that's probably why he came off pit road the leader. I think he either missed his pit stall or something went wrong, and A Drayton is going to finish pretty poorly as a result of that here tonight, as L Alvarise had the lead, and now J Srigley takes the spot. They're catching slower traffic there. R.J. Reynolds and Brooke Allan, and that's going to allow the 21 to really scamper away. Drivers out of the race after the incident we saw include K Shearer, Charles Sanford, Chris Dodd, also Kat Batson, Cole Baker, Jessica Shelton. They join Emmanuel Hartnett in the garage area, as now Srigley's having to deal with a lot of traffic here. 2 laps down is D Poteet. He's 35th. Also off the lead lap are Blaine Keys, R.J. Reynolds, Brooke Allan, Trent Dunham, and A Drayton after his green flag pit stop. 29 cars still on the lead lap, 35 still running. Srigley out in front. Here's the battle for second. Tim Walsh, Dylan Young, James McCloud, and J Arndt. That's your current top 5. As with 10 laps to go, they're trying to run down 21 of J Srigley, and they're very quickly doing that, as Srigley had a bit of difficulty getting around the 31 of D Poteet. And here comes Tim Walsh with a big run in the 15. He'll take the spot. So these drivers are good to go on fuel. Now they're just racing for that checkered flag, or maybe the caution flag, depending on when it flies. Top 3 single file: Walsh, McCloud, Srigley. Walsh has already won. McCloud and Srigley still looking for their first wins of the season. J Arndt right now in the 4th spot, and here comes the inaugural winner of this race, S Gallighan behind Daniel Gilbert. They're 5th and 6th with Collard in 7th. Alvarise was out in front for a moment. I thought maybe we were going to see him be able to go for his second win of the season. He's now fading back now to the 10th spot. Side by side, Srigley, McCloud. And that's brought everybody else back to them. Walch, Arndt, Gilbert, Gallighan, they're all up here now. Of our top 6, only 2 have been to victory lane, Walsh and Arndt. The other ones all looking for their first win of the season. Here comes Dylan Young as they're going to catch more traffic. That's the 25 of Miles, the 24 of Watson, and they're going to hold up everybody. John Arndt now looking to the bottom for the race lead. This thing isn't over. We've still got 6 laps to go. Now Benny Watson in the way. He's going to move out of the way for his teammate, John Arndt. Inside line's going to follow. And with them as congested as they are, there could be somebody back outside the top 10 that could get up here and maybe battle for this win. As now Cody Smart playing havoc with the leaders. John Arndt tries to get to the inside. He'll succeed. Sean Gallighan's going to get freight trained, though, as he's stuck behind the 12, so now he's out of the picture for the moment. And the lead is on again, the battle. Daniel Gilbert to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get the sweep for all 3 of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars. Now Joshua Collard, the points leader. Trent Dunham in the 1 is not on the lead lap, so that's not for position. Look out! Oh, did we have a wreck? There's smoke! Smoke in turn 3 and 4. I think the caution may be out. I think they just took it. Caution, I think, is out. Collard was the leader at the time, and I don't know if we're going to get back green. If we do, we may have a 1-lap shootout, but we may end up finishing this race under caution now. And I think the 3 of Brooke Allen was involved in the wreck, but I'm not certain. Sikuli's on pit road. They're hitting the line here with 3 to go. I think this race is going to end under yellow, and I believe the points leader, Joshua Collard, is going to take his 2nd win of the season. We'll have to wait for official scoring when we come back. But for now, let's take a look at a replay of what brought out this caution to potentially end the race under yellow. Well, here's what happened, involving the 73 of Joshua Sikuli. This, I think, started coming out of turn number 2. And it may have actually happened further up. No, I don't think so. No, I think it started back there with the 73. All right, let's see what happens here. Everything looks okay right here. Oh, right there. Leon Alvarise in the 08 just goes up and hooks Benjamin Miles, left rear quarter panel. Miles then down into Sikuli's right rear. Leon Alvarise also went around off the nose of Elijah Gilbert. There's a contact right there. Johnny Gardner, pretty heavy front end damage as he gets into Sikuli, and I think Sikuli's going to get clobbered by somebody else here too as Alvarise spun down pit road. And let's see what happens here to the 73. Who nails him? There you see Alvarise, and he is spun to pit road. Oh, it looks like it might be Kyle Mathews getting low and not low enough. Oh, boy. Hard hit there for the 09, and that's why there was black smoke lingering in turn 3. So, Sikuli, Alvarise, Gardner, Mathews all getting damage from this one, and this may have just ended the race under caution. Let's go back and find out. Collard certainly hopes so. The white flag was just displayed. He's leading the points. He's in the middle of the battle for Rookie of the Year. He got his first career win in the Hersheys Cup Series back at one of the heats at Bristol Dirt, and now Joshua Collard is half a lap away from coming around to get his 2nd win of the season. It'll be the 2nd win for that team, 5th win overall this year for Michael Norman Motorsports, and the 2nd team to go to victory lane multiple times this year, joining Brooke Allen, who has 3 trips to victory lane. And if he didn't come into this race already locked into the playoffs, being the points leader, having a win, 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s, that's most of any driver this season, he certainly has now. Joshua Collard will cross the line. Win number 2 of his career comes here tonight at Hillside. And the Brits have now won 2 of the 3 races here at Hillside now. Gallighan, the inaugural winner, and Collard winning the 3rd race here. And it's a Michael Norman Motorsports 1-2 finish. Where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, the truck race at Daytona a few weeks ago when Easton Barber and Melody Baker finished 1-2. It's a 1-2 finish for Collard and Gilbert. And somehow the thing froze. Oh, they all stopped. Okay. Anyway, Collard officially gets the win. Second place is going to be Daniel Gilbert, so it is a 1-2 finish for Michael Norman Motorsports here tonight. Fitzwater will bring it home in third. Fitzwater with another top 5 run. John Arndt will get fourth, and Dallas McIntosh in fifth. So Fitzwater, Arndt, and McIntosh, along with Gonzales in sixth, may also have locked themselves up spots in the playoffs now with this good runs they had. Kyle Keith brings it home in seventh. Eighth for JT Bryant. Ninth was Shane Lake, and completing the top 10 was J Baskinger. Some other drivers that may have locked themselves up playoff positions with their finishes. I only see really one, and that's Tim Walch with a 13th place run. Daniel Voyles maybe in 21st. Anthony McCrury in 22nd. We'll have to see for them. Trent Dunham definitely ended up having what he needed. He fell a lap down early, had that big wreck, picked up spot, so he didn't finish dead last. He actually finished in the 25th position, so that's at least good for him for a drive that came in 7th points, so he may be locked into the playoffs as well. As you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results, only 24 cars finished on the lead lap. The last of them was L Alvarise, so I don't know if he's able to get back into the top 30 in points with his run or not. Dylan Young was 16th. I don't know if this gets him into the top 30 in points or not, so we'll have to wait and see. As we had several drivers off the lead lap here, including some winners from this season like Benjamin Miles, 28th. We'll have to see what this situates him. Alex Drayton, 29th. Brooke Allen, 30th. R Reynolds, 31st. And Dylan Poteet came into this race outside the playoffs, and I think still will be outside the playoffs as he finished 33rd. Then we had a number of drivers finish out of the race, including Srigley, Mathews, Shearer, Sanford, Chris Dodd, Kat Batson, Cole Baker, Jessica Shelton, and Emmanuel Hartnett. Two drivers that had wins this season that were playoff contenders, Shearer and Sanford. They came into this race in 10th and 5th in points, so I don't think these DNFs are really going to hurt their chances of making the playoffs, but we'll have to see what happens to them in the upcoming weeks at DuQuoin and M&M's. But Joshua Collard, definitely, no doubt about it, 100% guaranteed to be in the playoffs this season, and he will, at this point, be tied for the number 2 seed with his second win of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, be sure to give us a video, like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We show you full finish results. These are your rookie point standings and your overall point standings. 16 drivers highlighted in yellow would be the drivers that, if the playoffs were to begin now, would be battling for the championship. There's still a little ways to go in the season. Not long, but a little ways. As next week, we're going to have Trucks and Hersheys Cup Series action at the final regular season dirt track stop at DuQuoin. And then the following week, all 3 series are back for the regular season finales at M&M's Super Speedway. You're not going to want to miss that. We determined the chase in those 3 races for all 3 series. Till then, though, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching Production of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best. So long from Hillside.